bit about our achievements so far. A few things have happened that have had a lot of work preparing in the background so that we can prepare for day one, being October 1st. And one part, and unfortunately, I guess an unfortunate part, is that COVID happened. And it's definitely affected everyone, but especially we have managed that situation working from home, like most people in Australia. So the one thing there is about our frontline services that I'll talk about soon. But it has meant that we've had to work a little bit differently compared to what we had originally planned for our day one, which was supposed to happen on the 1st of July, but has moved to October 1st. So at this point in time, we have been doing a lot of work online, engaging with the Deaf Society, Deaf Services as well, working together to move forward. A big part of the work so far has been the integration of our commercial side of things throughout the organisation. So, for example, our financial system, having different systems, we will be merging that to the new financial system. In order to pick which financial system would be utilised in the new organisation, we had a few different considerations. And it also meant thinking about which would be the best system moving forward. So, for example, thinking about how our new organisation would also communicate with each other, given the geography as well, New South Wales, ACT, Queensland, and Northern Territory, thinking about how we will continue that communication and providing one platform for that communication to occur internally as part of the organisation. Previously, we've had separate ways that we would communicate for the Deaf Society as well as Deaf Services, but that has now been integrated. Our human resources, we've also had to, as we've had to pick one legal vehicle, we have transitioned staff into the new organisation. That has been a tremendous amount of work to be able to develop a new way and a new method to be able to focus on different things, such as culture, and really working out how we can work as a team together there. We've had a lot of back of house things occur as far as that integration aspect. We've also had our teams start to meet and come together to work with each other. A lot of different services are provided to the community. Some are similar. So, for example, interpreting has that direct correlation there. And yes, how we work is differently, but our outcomes are the same. It's providing interpreting access to the deaf community members, but ensuring that the deaf community can continue to provide the services that they need. And so we've really started to collaborate and make sure that we are aligned in our service provision there. Later on, we will have merged those systems, and then later on that will continue to occur as well and align through different aspects. Also focusing on developing the culture of the organisation. Obviously, with two different organisations coming together, it won't be a seamless transition. Of course, there will be things that need to be negotiated and worked out, and that's definitely something that we are ahead of and ensuring that we are monitoring and thinking about how we can develop the ideal culture. Having the teams come together to work on change management processes, and also thinking about how we have developed different frameworks for our change management processes as well. I know there's a lot of boring things in relation to systems and processes, thinking about which one was best and seeing which would be, what aspects would be best, what should we keep, what can we get rid of. And so really thinking about utilising the same system, thinking about what would be the best system to continue moving forward as the new entity. So for the last 6 months, I just wanted to say an enormous thank you to all of the team at the Deaf Society and Deaf Services for all of their hard work. And people have been willing to roll up their sleeves and get the work done. So a big thank you to everyone involved for all of your time and effort, your focus and commitment as well. And thank you. And our merged organisation thanks you as well. So thank you as well for being a part of that process and leading that process for us. So, what's next, you might be asking? Well, I might handball that over to Leonie now. She can answer that question.
Well, it's very exciting to be able to talk about what's happening next. So the 1st of October, as it is approaching very soon, there's so many things that we do have to work through, ticking all the boxes, making sure that everything is done and ready for day one, and we're ready for the new organisation. So this live stream is actually the first part of our community consultations. We're going forward. We're going to keep having these conversations with the community, and it's a great opportunity for you to ask questions, to tell us about, you know, the services that you would like to see. We can share with you the services that we do offer, and you can talk to people like myself. You can share your issues, your concerns, and what things you would like to see happen in the community. And the live stream tonight is also an opportunity for you all to learn about the merger. What does it mean? What will things look like? What will look the same? What will change? And Brett's going to talk about the things that are changing going into the future. We originally planned, Brett and I planned to come and visit the different cities in Queensland, New South Wales, ACT, to meet you all face to face, because it is so nice to meet everyone and have that, you know, the physical connection. But because of coronavirus, we've had to really shift the way we connect and engage with people. So after tonight, we'll have a succession of small community consultations, and it would be great if you could come and join us and talk about issues that are very relevant to your area instead of the more general issues. So you are welcome to join any of those sessions that are happening soon within your area. So along with the integration of all the services that Brett has been speaking about, you can see on the PowerPoint there that all the services that both organisations have, or the other one doesn't have, or one doesn't have, the other one has, combined, we're pleased to say that most of the services have started moving ahead, even though we haven't officially merged on the 1st of October. We've actually started the activities to streamline these things, and also that opportunity for growth and expansion of our services, especially with the aged care service. Remember last year we launched an Aging Well program in New South Wales, and that continues to grow. So the team is getting bigger and bigger in this space, so that is very exciting to see. So we are looking at that as an opportunity, as expanding into different areas within New South Wales and ACT and Queensland as well. Another big thing too that we are looking into is that the Deaf Society here in New South Wales, we actually provide courses for deaf learners, and that's something that Queensland doesn't have. But we are looking into it now as to how we can implement a deaf learners course in Queensland, and that's really exciting news for our Queensland community. So as we move through the process of merging our organisations, so you'll see in the next 6 to 12 months, a lot of services will integrate. And it doesn't matter where you live, whether it's Queensland, New South Wales, ACT, or soon the Northern Territory, you'll be able to access all or most of those services coming forward. So it is a very exciting time. So please keep an eye on the organisation, and any of those community consultations that you're willing and able to come to, please come along, please share something with us. And if there's something is there that you see as a gap that we can provide some supports for, we'll be able to work along with you and to be able to see if we can provide a support in that area or a type of service. So Brett will talk about what next.
What's next? Well, I guess what's going to change. Okay, so Leonie mentioned the difference between, sorry, the interpreter's video is freezing, so I've just missed a few different things there. So mentioning as far as what will change and what will be part of the process. So we are currently looking into this space, and also I think as far as the merged organization, thinking about what we have the capacity to achieve, and thinking about what areas don't have services at the moment. So thinking about day one, coming up quite quickly and thinking about what will change there.
It really is business as usual. So there will be some administrative changes. There'll be some process changes and but there will be no changes to the services we provide. So some of the programs and systems that we use, for example, we have Lang Manager, it's an interpreting booking platform. So we made a decision to move it over to Auslan Connections, which is AC Plus. So that's a system that we use to manage our interpreter bookings. And I know some of you may be wondering, you may be wanting to know whether the Deaf Society, Deaf Services merged organisation, will they have a new logo, a new name? But we are waiting until we have completed the whole merger process. We are still going to continue co-branding, and you will see both logos on all of our promotional material and on our website. And we will continue that until we have had more opportunity to have more in-depth conversations with our community, to speak to staff, to our customers, community members and the board, and then we'll be able to make a decision about our branding and where that is going in the future. So please watch this space. Is there any questions?
All right, we'll continue then. So just give me one moment. Okay, let's try that again, shall we? So I'm sorry, Paula, can I ask you to take over again, please?
So our response to COVID-19 was to ensure that we had the safety of our staff and our customers as priority. So we wanted to make sure that we had a COVID-safe plan and we were able to respond to issues as well as complying with government standards and regulations. So we made sure that we were complying with those restrictions and continuing to support our customers and our staff. I just want to check whether we have an interpreter interpreting. Okay, great. So we've been continuing to develop our business continuity plan as two organisations merging into one, and then we're also responding to COVID-19. So the priority really was to make sure that we provided a service to our customers in all our states and providing supports to our ageing well clients and other types of services for those that are at risk, and also interpreting service and other essential services. We made sure that they were able to maintain their service, and we wanted our frontline staff to be able to provide a service, and trying to find a balance between supporting our staff and our customers and making sure that everyone stays safe. Most of our office-based staff are now working from home at the moment. There might be a few that have come to the offices for specific reasons, but people aren't working in the offices at a permanent basis. We haven't been talking about bringing people back to the office at a permanent state yet. We are getting experts to help us to see whether that is a possibility. We're looking at all the regulations, whether it is 1.5 distance, 4 metres square per person. So we may be able to bring people back to the office at a later date, and frontline staff are still out attending and supporting their customers in a COVID-safe way. So as an organisation, we provided a weekly update, which is in Auslan. So it is important that we provide all of that information in Auslan. We were providing it every day, and then we started reducing it down to twice a week. And so we're providing all that information to all our staff across both organisations. So working along with our state and local governments, we've been providing interpreters for all of our press conferences and media briefings, whether it's a Premier or a Prime Minister. So Deaf Services and Deaf Society have been able to support that, providing interpreters on the news, and that actually provides access to all of our deaf community. And also with our COVID safe plan, we have talked a lot about coming back to work safely, making sure that we have appropriate hygiene practices, hand washing, making sure that we have enough sanitizer pumps in the office so everyone has access to one, and looking at the training as well, because it is very different to social distance. It is quite difficult, it's quite hard, but we need to make sure that we are following those guidelines until a vaccination is available, which we will see happen in the future, but at the moment we must adhere to all of these restrictions. Next slide, please. So part of the COVID safe plan is that we looked at how to continue to provide a service to our customers to make sure that our staff and our customers are safe during COVID-19. So we were able to set up quite a few things, like Brett has just explained, that every time a person came to Deaf Services or the Deaf Society, we would ask them questions. They would have to fill out a form. We would check their temperature. So it was an assessment process to make sure that we could provide a service, and we really want to thank everyone for their patience, really complying with our COVID safe plan, making sure that our staff stay well, and also for our customers. So if you do start to feel not well And if you do have a temperature, we may have to ask you to go home. And if you have an appointment and you know that you are sick and you can't come to the appointment, please let us know. We do understand why you may have to cancel some appointments. Talking about regulations following PPE requirements and masks, it's very important that the deaf community still stays well. We love our community, so we want to make sure that everyone is complying to the government regulations as to wearing masks. But we have made a graphic which you can have on your phone or a card that you can show to people if you are finding it quite difficult. You know, if you need to get a bus ticket or order something from the shops and that person is wearing a mask. So you can show them this graphic to help them to be able to communicate with you. Or maybe they don't understand why they're struggling to communicate with you. So it is a bit of an awareness building, and we understand that we do need to think of new strategies and new things to be able to manage these new challenges day to day. And maybe you're in an area where it is a hotspot, or there has been quite a few cases of coronavirus. It would be a good idea to wear a mask for the safety of yourself, your family, your community, and the deaf community. So we really don't know how long this is going to last. We really want to thank you all for your wonderful patience, and really to be able to push through these really difficult times. We can still provide a service and support all of your needs when we're all adhering to all the government regulations. So now we have some time for some questions. Is there any questions about our COVID-19 plan and how we've been managing that? Because we're waiting for some questions, we might give people a bit of time. There might be a delay. So, Brett, you're in Townsville. Is it nice and sunny up there? Yes, it is beautiful and sunny. I don't even know what to say. I can't even explain how beautiful it is. Right now, this weather in September is actually perfect for fishing, for many things. It's not too hot like it does get later on in the year, but there's monsoon, there's wet season, it's quite hot and sweaty, but here it is really the perfect time of year to visit Townsville. And I'm really excited to be able to visit the staff and the community tomorrow. So the Townsville office here are still running Auslan classes face-to-face, all with social distancing, of course, but we're making sure that we have a COVID-safe plan, and we make sure that everyone is seated separately. The teacher feels safe. They can also have, if you feel like, you can attend class via Zoom if you'd rather stay at home. So yeah, there's different options. So we do have a question that has come through. I might ask the question and Brett, you can answer it. Question says, could we re-establish a retirement village for deaf seniors and it to be more oriented towards a full Auslan deaf retirement village for deaf seniors? Also, we really need a focus group home for deaf clients, as I've heard of deaf clients in different group homes without access to Auslan or services. Lastly, with the merger, will Deaf Society lose their unique identity, history, and values?
Okay. Wow. Okay. I might need help with that question again. Okay, let me.
Maybe first of all, the retirement village.
Okay, so question 1, was it?
So could we set up a retirement village for our deaf seniors?
Oh, I thought you said Wide festivals. Sorry. That's a good question. Retirement village. Yes. I think definitely that would link in well with our aging well services. First of all, though, our aging well is still very young and very new. So thinking about retirement villages or is not a new thing. I remember Percy Bates wrote to the Board of Deaf Services Queensland at that time. He was 99, about 100. And he also had the same idea about a retirement village for deaf seniors. And because of how isolated all our deaf seniors are, and I agree, something needs to be done. It's something that we do need to look at. It wouldn't be a deaf retirement village, but looking at that issue of our deaf elders and seniors being isolated. And so that is something that we do need to look at in future, and definitely maybe is something that we could put to our advocacy agenda too, Leonie.
Yeah, definitely. There is this sector, there's so many gaps in the aged care sector. It is on my radar. I am watching that space, and it is an area that I do want to focus on. So I think it really is an important part of the community consultation to see if that is something that we do need to set up. Would you rather be able to choose a retirement village you go to that has great access to Auslan, or has staff that have a good attitude? So there's those questions that I really might need to unpack the answers to. It's not something that can happen overnight, but it definitely is on my agenda. The second question there, Brett, was about group homes. And I have heard very similar things here in New South Wales, and I'm sure it is happening in Queensland as well. That is something we do need to look into as well. The idea is about providing access. So we want a group of people who are very similar to each other, and they feel like that they have their tribe, their connection, they have the same shared values, and be able to share a home. So it would be great for a group of deaf people that could be grouped together in a group home, and that can be an area where people are trained, like staff that can use Auslan. So we are putting that on notice. That is something we are looking at as well. And the third one about the question whether Deaf Society will lose their unique identity, history and values. And the short answer is no. Really, the new organisation going forward will be both organisations bringing their values, their history, their identity. It is just part of the new organisation. It'll be part of their DNA. It'll be in their blood. This organisation, we can't have this new organisation without the history that we've brought, the strong, rich cultural history of the Deaf Society and Deaf Services into this new organisation. So we're bringing both organisations in. We're bringing the best of both organisations into this new organisation. So it is very important to remember that. And Brett and I are very keen, very interested in setting up a heritage cultural committee to be able to maintain that information and remind us of our wealth of history, so that the future generations can look back and see how the history has also supported this new organisation. And we want to empower the deaf people of the future.
Yes, and just to add to that, Leonie, you made a comment in relation to the board establishing a strategic direction, or at least navigating through that organisation. And the board are very well aware of this. And it's thinking about the value of both organisations coming together as one, the different considerations and the different values that each organisation brings, and really developing a strategic direction from it. At the same time, also being aware that there's an agreement and a commitment to continue and maintain that heritage and of both organisations, to ensure that that is reflected in our thinking, that we think about and reflect on that in everything that we choose to do, and to make sure that we develop the resources for the community and that nothing is lost. Okay. All right, so we might move on then.
Brett, are you happy to turn off the PowerPoint? Maybe we can turn it off.
Yeah, that's fine. Sure, I'm good. Oh, good. I can see you. Hello. So I'll just do a little bit of a quick update on some other initiatives that we have in regards to supporting the community as well through the merged organisation. In June, we announced a new national program providing free Auslan interpreters for all seniors throughout Australia for deaf, blind and hard of hearing, to make sure that our seniors of Australia have access to the language that they need for those people who are provided that aged care support. So the government had released a tender, and it was for a tender for those people who would be looking after the interpreters. Previously, that was related to my aged care system. And once a person would join that my aged care system, they would call. And obviously that communication breakdown would occur straight away because of that lack of ability to interpret or have that communication in Auslan. There were also issues with lack of interpreter provision. So having looked at those issues and the different types of abilities and what sort of things were required, thinking about the different support also received that the deaf community received through hearing organisations, from this tender, we've had a nice outcome. And that meant that Auslan Connections won the tender, partnering with Expressions Australia, and we were successful. So we will now be providing services across Australia for our deaf seniors in Australia. I also mentioned before the Northern Territory. So we've expanded our services in Northern Territory, and I won't repeat everything again, but just to mention that we are looking forward to establishing and expanding our services to the community in the Northern Territory. There was a service gap identified there, and that was that they weren't receiving any of those services. So we've now broadened our services for the Northern Territory. I'll hand over to Leonie if you wanted to talk about the festival that's coming up.
The Vibe Festival. Oh, I might go back. I forgot to unmute myself. So no one can hear the interpreter. So as we said before, we have been working together on lots of exciting projects. And one exciting project is Vibe Festival. So that's the 19th and 20th of September. And we want the opportunity to really be that the whole community gets together for 2 days on a weekend to enjoy the deaf community's cultural humour, stories, performance, creativity, cooking, magic. There's a whole range of things that we will be presenting over the 2 days. It's a great opportunity for anyone, any deaf person all over Australia can watch a bit of deaf TV for 2 days straight and get that fix. So it is very exciting. So please join us online on the 19th and the 20th of September, which is very soon. Vibe Festival, we've been working very hard to deliver a very exciting program, has some international and some local guests, some talent from our deaf community that you'll be able to see.
Oh, I think it's absolutely exciting. Looking at that program, it looks amazing. The different talent, we have domestic skills, and we have skills from overseas, and just, I think it touches on a variety of different domains. And I think there's things about, there's magic, there's dance, there's cooking, such a wide range of opportunities and things to watch.
There's some deaf history lessons, I think. It's very exciting.
Yes, it is exciting. Unfortunately, we have to do it online, though. The next best thing from face-to-face, of course.
Yeah, hopefully Vibe Festival means that it will be more opportunities that we can demonstrate the deaf community's talent and show, you know, just we're so proud of the things that we can do together as a community.
Yes, definitely some amazing opportunities that we wouldn't usually get because it is online, having our overseas presenters as part of our programs and being able to elicit that response throughout the world. So definitely something that I'm keen to watch. It is on, so it is all okay.
Well, I think we'll give this time to allow people to ask any questions. If they are still online, they want to ask some questions.
I think we're getting good at sort of freezing, waiting.
We sure are. Really, we're opening the floor up for questions about anything, really. I do believe we have some questions coming.
I can see one.
Would you like me to ask the question, Brett? Well, it says, thank you for your presentations, much appreciated. As you both mentioned about providing services during COVID, I would like to know if the Deaf Society and Deaf Services have any plans in place for the upcoming bushfire season, given that last summer was a tough one. Are there any thoughts on this in terms of supporting deaf communities in Queensland, New South Wales and ACT? Did you want to answer that, Brett?
Yeah, for sure. Look, our current focus has been COVID and our safety of our staff and clients as well, and really focusing on ensuring that everyone remains safe through this merger period as well as this COVID period. At the same time, definitely thinking about the bushfire season that is coming and seeing what has happened in America, especially in California, and how it has just spread with their current weather that they're having at the moment. So it's definitely been a reminder and definitely something to think about as far as what we can do. Continuing to work with and network with the different governments of each respective state and ensuring that those areas that are at risk, especially including Victoria as well, but also engaging and developing those relationships with the government to make sure that, well, first of all, that we can ensure that we provide access to the community, and also thinking about the different elements to make sure that the community are prepared for the fire season and what we do in the event of an emergency, how to evacuate, what the plan is, and those type of issues that need to be raised as well to ensure that that access is there for the community. Most of the time, the information is online, it's English-based, and so really having to transition and make sure that that information is accessible to the community.
Yeah, I do want to add to what you've just said there, Brett. The experience we have had through coronavirus, we have had to really be able to think of the ways we communicate to the different groups within our deaf community. It's not just about providing interpreters on TV. It's about preparing our community as to what they need to do to be safe. So we want to do the same for the bushfire season. That strategy that we have implemented in the past few months is that it's really given us a good position to argue to the government and say we need to continue to provide this appropriate level of response to our different groups within the deaf community, because not everyone can just easily access that information that's provided on TV by the use of an interpreter. It does provide information to some of the community, but we need to have it in an appropriate level of language that they'll be able to understand. Some people may need it to be unpacked. They might need a different level of support to understand the information.
If you do have any ideas or suggestions for us and how we can lead this, please do talk to us and let us know. We are always keen to hear from the community. We really want to work with you all to make sure that our vision really is standing with the community, building the capacity of the community as well. So please do reach out to us. I think also we had another question from Bobby Blackson, in regards to any idea in regards to when the new logo might be released. I'll hand that over to you, Leonie.
Yeah, well, it won't be, there'll be no new logo on the 1st of October. We are continuing to co-brand, and this is why we want to have these types of conversations. We want to get your ideas. We want to be able to see where you think it fits. We want the deaf ecosystem to have that input into the new logo and the new name of the organisation. So this is where we will be relying on you, on the deaf community, our members, to be able to help us to build a new logo and a new name. So it could be between 12 to 18 months that we'll be working on it. We really want to make sure that everyone feels that they can, really connect with the new logo and the new name. We want to be able to take the time to talk to the deaf community before we make any of those decisions.
I think it's also critical that we have the conversations and the consultations with the community. Our brand is a little bit more than just a logo. I mean, yes, there's lovely colors, nice designs, but it's about the touch and the feel and the connection, that emotion to that organization and the community. So we really want to make sure that that is reflected. It's about the community's perspective on that, and also think about where we want the organization to go. So it's a progressive organization. We're seeing growth, and we want to make sure that there is opportunities for more services to be provided in the future as well.
We have 2 more questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so the question is, what are your views on deaf people being able to access tertiary or VET education? Is there a role for deaf services to enhance their chances for entry? And will deaf services take on a role in this space as an alternative educator?
Look, I think that's in the hard basket as far as a question to answer at this point in time. We need to understand what essentially the deaf community would be looking for as far as a vet course, but also clarifying with the government at the end of the day, as far as there are special investments, so subsidy programs that are provided from the government for that entry level programs. So for example, we know that Auslan currently is something that the government are focused on developing. So developing those skill sets of people, especially because of NDIS and the growth that we have seen in regards to the interpreter provision or the demand there. So something that we would need to do, and again, that would be through consultation with the community to understand what is needed as far as educational outcomes before we would rush to any decision. So that's something that we would, definitely something that we pride ourselves on, that we are going to consult with the community first, and especially with the aging well, the seniors space, really looking to and thinking about what it is that the community needed first, and then we responded to that issue by providing the aging well services. So similar concept for this question as well.
And to just add to Brett's comment as well, we would really like to see more opportunities become available for deaf people to become more higher educated. They can progress in their career. We really believe that the deaf people have the skills, but we need to look at what the education system has in place. There's all these disadvantages. So how can we work along with government and service providers and educators to resolve those gaps? And myself as a teacher for many years, I am very passionate about closing the gaps in education from early childhood all into tertiary or university education. So it's something that is very important to us as an organisation, looking at how deaf people can have an opportunity to get into further education for their own career path.
Definitely. Okay, we have a few more questions. So one is in relation to the interpreting department and what it will be designated.
There's another question there after the question about tertiary.
Oh, I have to scroll up. I guess if you're happy to lead those questions, Leonie.
Yeah, okay. So the question is, how do you plan on keeping the history of both organisations into the new organisation?
Well, there's a clear strategy in regards to our heritage and culture of the Deaf Society and Deaf Services. So we would be approaching Rita Cardi to assist us in this process to work with this program. We haven't yet worked through the particular fine details yet to work out exactly what will occur, but it is definitely on our radar, and it's definitely something that we will not forget because we value our heritage and value the heritage of both organisations of over 100 years each. So that will be something that definitely happens once the merger is, well, essentially once day one is complete.
There's another question. What will be the interpreting organisation's name or the branch? Auslan Connections.
That is probably my understanding. I can't confirm that yet, though, until the team have worked through various items. I did mention before, though, our interpreting service provision as well as our education, they are aligned. They haven't yet merged yet. So both departments are still aligning, still working out where they fit and where they have those similarities and differences. And over time, there will eventually be a new name. And if there is, the community will definitely be informed of that.
And the next question is, says, I found out from my friend who supports a person who doesn't use Auslan and can't read. How can we help people like him in this situation to improve? It's scary to know that there are some people like him out there. What's wrong with the education system?
Leonie, if you want to answer that.
Yeah, sure. Well, many years ago, the Deaf Society have recognised that there are many people like this in the community. So that's why we set up the Deaf Learners course. So it's an opportunity for deaf people like this person. They can get together to develop both their written English and reading, their literacy skills, and also to learn Auslan. They get together as a group. It is very popular. It is a very great class, and that's one of the ways we have tried to resolve that issue. And also with the NDIS service as well, we can provide Auslan in the home, so we can come and tutor one-on-one some deaf people who have never used Auslan, but they've only used speech and their hearing aids. They may have felt quite nervous to attend a mainstream class to learn Auslan. So now with the NDIS, it actually can help them to improve their language skills and their literacy skills one-on-one. And so Queensland's quite keen to roll out the Deaf Learners program in their state because they have identified people like that. And look, I don't have all night to explain to you what is wrong with the education system because there is so much. But that one thing I do know is that deaf people, we all learn differently, and we have different types of family situations, the way we've been raised, the way we've been educated. There's so many factors. So to work along with educators and service providers and catering for different learning styles is what we need to do. And until we do that successfully, it will reduce the situation that this person has just highlighted. And for some time, people have been quite scared of Auslan. They're unsure of whether they should learn Auslan. They think, it's not good for me because I can't mix with the rest of society. But with the Auslan Leaders Challenge, it has really shown that we should be proud of Auslan. Auslan is a language, and the government has recognised that Auslan is a very important part of the deaf community and the way they access information. So we are working on advocacy and educating the rest of society that Auslan is an option, and it is a very good option for deaf people in Australia.
Well done. Just one thing that I wanted to add as well is part of our service remit is to provide services to the community and to have options available to do things as well. So that was one of the questions raised. But Leonie definitely has given a very detailed explanation, but I won't add any more to that.
Okay, so the question here says, I note the size of the picture-in-picture box where the Auslan interpreters are for the Prime Minister. They're too small for us to see. Is it possible to enlarge the picture-in-picture size for future announcements? Yes, this is something that we are still continuing to do to educate media and the TV channels. So we hope to see the box get a little bit bigger. And the Deaf Society has a Kenneth Tribe Scholarship, which is funding for university students. And will that funding still be available? I think I might hand it over to Brett to talk about how the Deaf Lottery will be able to look at how that works.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you for that question. And you're right. So the Deaf Society have a variety of sponsorships available for the community to apply for, and that is for specific projects. In Queensland, for the deaf services, we also have the Deaf Lottery, and that provides a similar sponsorship program. So we have the Deaf Lottery grants, which is similar to your Kenneth Tribe Scholarship and various other scholarships that you have. So our plan is to ensure that those scholarships are maintained, that they will continue for the community, and those scholarships will be fused into the new organisation. Again, watch this space. We will have a new website, and all of this information will be accessible on there. But the plan will be to remain as is for the time being as well. Part of the merge, it won't be forgotten, but we will definitely get to a point in time where that will occur. But yes, it will remain.
Well, I think that's all we have for questions tonight. They were fantastic questions. Oh, no. I jumped the gun.
Oh, but wait, there's more.
Well, I think we might have answered that question about the tertiary or VET education. I think we've answered that. Great. Thank you so much for all your questions. And like Brett said, please keep them coming. And also too, look out for the community consultations happening in your area. It would be great if you could come and talk to us about your local issues and tell us about what's been happening. And Brett and I will be there to be able to visit these community members and to hear from you.
Okay, well, thank you very much to everyone that has been involved in this process to set up these community consultations online. This is a new platform that we haven't used before, so we'll definitely improve on that from our learnings. And it's always about continual learning. So next time it will be much better for these types of different live streamed opportunities. So thank you very much for watching. Those people at home in your pajamas, maybe with a bit of wine or a beer in your hand, maybe both, who knows, maybe you're a coffee and tea. But again, thank you very much for watching, and just really, we've just been really pleased to share the opportunity with all this information and all these exciting things that are coming up. And we feel that we would like to do it sooner rather than later again. Well, I bid you good night, and thank you very much again for your time.
Good night. Thank you, guys. Bye.